Volkswagen, Facebook. Volkswagen, Facebook, Volkswagen, Facebook! It's no secret that both of these billion-dollar business titans have a troublesome history, but if we could turn it into a competition where the atrocities score points, who would win? Volkswagen with acts of devious deception and carbon emissions, or the Zuck? Can we use a better photo, please? No, like one that actually makes him look human? Oh, much better. The joke's on me, I'm the one who edits my videos. Both of you, I want a fair fight. That means Volkswagen, no punches below the exhaust, and Zuck, no lizard powers.
I am not a lizard.
I'm Pick Surprise, and let the evil contest commence. So, let's start with our oldest contender, Volkswagen, or should I say, Gesellschaft zur Verbreitung deutschen Volkswagens GmbH. That's a really catchy name, I wonder why they changed it. Was founded in 1937 in Wolfsburg, Germany by the German Labour Party. Jesus Christ, okay, well that needs censoring and that's immediately going to be a lot of points to Volkswagen. In 1930s Germany, cars were not as accessible as they are today. In fact, having a car was actually considered a luxury. However, Volkswagen sought to change that fact with the introduction of the People's Car Project, a project which sparked the interest of a certain Hitler. Oh dear. I mean, if your target audience is literally Hitler, that doesn't really bode well for your company. 10 points. But wait, it doesn't end there. Hitler ordered from Volkswagen the production of a basic family vehicle capable of carrying 5 at an affordable price. However, a private company such as VW could not make such a car possible, which led Hitler to sponsor the production of a state-owned factory, which meant VW could take more money from Hitler and his government. And on the 20th of April 1944, as a birthday present to Hitler, VW presented him with a prototype of what would go on to become the Beetle. Giving Hitler a car for his birthday, yeah, that's another 10 points. And the last of VW's World War atrocities, at least until number 3 happens. During the Second World War, Volkswagen utilized slave labor in their plant. Slaves were supplied from concentration camps to make up an appalling 80% of VW's workforce, which is an immeasurable level of evil, but for the purposes of this video is worth 25 points. Okay, Zuck, you're up. Now, if you've ever read an article on Zuckerberg, then you're probably familiar with some of the nefariously naughty acts linked to his business breakthrough venture. And if the film The Social Network is anything to go by, then he really is a piece of work. Facebook was founded in 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg, Eduardo Saverin, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes, all whilst they were studying at Harvard. Originally, to use Facebook, you had to be a member of Harvard, but by 2006, they had expanded to anyone above the age of 13. And I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain what Facebook does, because given the fact that you're watching this video, that tells me that you're probably not about 90 years old. So, let's get down to the dirty details. And I was going to highlight this by making the first point about how Mark screwed over Facebook's co-founder out of his own company. And I'll be honest, that's because I never really researched it before now. However, after looking at a few articles and chat logs from the time, I realized it's not at all how I thought it was. And I'll be honest, this was because my conception was based on the film The Social Network, which I know I'm an idiot for. But essentially what happened at the start was Mark asked fellow Harvard student Eduardo Saverin to deposit $15,000 in a bank account which they could both easily access. The money, Mark claimed, would go towards hosting the service for Facebook. A few years later, Zuckerberg moved to California to work on Facebook with Dustin Moskovitz, and Eduardo Saverin moved to New York for an internship at Lehman Brothers. Before Mark left for California, he left Saverin some tasks, which were to set up the company, get funding, and create a business model. However, Saverin did none of these things, and instead ran unauthorized ads on Facebook so he could generate income to fund a new project for a new business that he was starting up, which would one day eventually compete with Facebook if it was successful, called Joboozle. What a great name for a business. Sounds like something my nan would call it. The Zuck did not like that. And so he started a new company, bought the old company, and then distributed the new shares to everyone except, you guessed it, Saverin, whose shares had now been diluted from 24% to below 10%. That's kind of what you get. And don't get me wrong, he's still bloody rich. Like rich. Like the kind of rich that if he gave me even 1% of his wealth, I'd eat his shoes. I mean, I know it probably says more about me than it does about him, but you get what I'm saying. Now, some would say that the Zuck kicked him out because his only use to him was to be a cash cow for when the servers were first being hosted. And others would say that he just simply wasn't involved enough in the business. So what do we rate Mark for that one then? For me, it's going to be 10 points. Comment down below if you think it deserves more though. But this is the Zuck we're talking about. It doesn't just end with booting out the co-founder. Oh no, 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 no. In 2004, ConnectU, a social media platform also started at Harvard, filed a lawsuit against Facebook, alleging that the Zuck had broken an oral contract with them. Basically, they claimed that Facebook was a stolen idea for them, which was illegal using source code that was intended for the website that Mark was supposed to create for them. So, potentially stealing a multi-million-dollar business idea, that's 15 points for Zuck. Time for round 2. The theme, scandals and misconduct, and the points are worth double. Back to VW now, and 2015 led to the exposure of one of the best known car scandals in automotive history, apart from Critical's world's fastest gaming chair, of course. The Environmental Protection Agency discovered that since 2008, Volkswagen had been fraudulently installing what is known as a defeat device into its diesel vehicles. The devices were able to detect when they were being tested for carbon emissions, and as a result would deliver false results by enabling ECU emission controls. This would allow them to successfully pass under a false basis. A bit like how if you're a girl doing your school exams and you cheat by pre-writing the answers on your inner thigh. I mean, what's a teacher going to do? Ask you to lift up your skirt? Well, they might do actually if they're a Genshin Impact player. However, during normal driving conditions, these controls would be disabled to increase fuel economy and engine power. This unfortunately means that it emits 40 times more pollution than is allowed by law. Yeah, that's pretty dodgy. VW admitted to creating these devices and installing them into 482,000 cars. That's the seating capacity of at least 2 sofas, maybe even 3. Anyway, in 2016, they agreed to pay a settlement of $15.3 billion. Now that's a lot of damage! So, a whole company illegally polluting the planet and lying about it on a Brobdingnagian scale, yeah, that's a solid 10-pointer. Though during this round, it's double, so that's 20 points to VW. Zuck, what have you got?
Jarvis knows when to make me breakfast.
No, leave that for later. Turns out he's involved in more scandals than Filipino women on X videos. The biggest, though, occurred in 2018 when documents from Cambridge Analytica, I'm just going to refer to it as CA, were leaked and published in press. The documents proved that CA was harvesting data from Facebook users and using it to create voter profiles, which they could sell to political campaigns. Now I know what you're thinking, politicians wouldn't dare engage in this illicit behaviour. One of the most genuine and least corrupt people in the entire world is a politician. No, but in all seriousness, with Facebook being one of the biggest social media platforms of all time, you can guarantee your silly sausage that this happened on a massive scale. So, potentially interfering with the US election to put an orange man in a White House, that's a solid 20-pointer for you, Zuck, but the points are worth double, so that's 40. Round 3 is the final round, and it's the quickfire round, in which I'll briefly list atrocities committed by both corporations like they're in a game of criminal tennis. VW to serve, with Canadians' emissions charges. In 2019, VW was charged with importing 128,000 cars into Canada despite them not meeting Canada's emission standards. 5 points. Nice serve. Over to the Zuck, with selective censorship. We all know that if you're on any website other than 4chan, you'll most likely have your post removed if it's too offensive. But Facebook like to go that extra step with their tomfoolery and delete whatever the hell they feel like. Some examples include any criticism of Facebook, and you can expect the dreaded shadow ban, which I'm all too familiar with. They like to control the mainstream narrative so openly that it's almost like a Black Mirror episode. Nice forehand ground stroke there, Mark. 10 points. How will VW respond? I know, collaboration with dictatorship. In 2015, Volkswagen were accused of remaining silent about the persecution of its workers during Brazil's military dictatorship, during which time VW workers were arrested and tortured. Jesus, what a backhand ground stroke that was. 15 points. Back to Mark now. Wait, what's he doing? Mark, get back in the bloody game, the ball's coming. What's Mark got up his sleeve here? Oh, it's more privacy issues. In 2020, Facebook was charged with storing users' biometric data, including their faces, without their permission. And isn't it obvious why? He's clearly just collecting more information about us so he can blend in better with the crowd. Can't blame a reptile for trying. Either way, that's a backhand volley and it's worth 5 points. The ball is hurtling towards VW now. I don't see how they can possibly come back from this. Oh! CEO using Nazi puns! In 2019, Volkswagen CEO Herbert Diess, I'm just gonna go with Herbert, attended an international event in the presence of hundreds of managers. During the event, Herbert repeatedly said, EBIT macht frei, EBIT being an acronym for earnings before interest and taxes, a pun on EBIT macht frei, work will set you free. a famous slogan that appeared on Auschwitz concentration camp. I mean, Volkswagen claim that they want to distance themselves from the past, with it being one of the most horrendous times in human rights history, but you've still got the CEO making puns about the camps. That's uniquely evil, and a forehand volley worth 20 points. I think Zuck's about to try something absolutely crazy here. Oh my god, he is! It's a tax avoidance overhead smash. Like most big companies, Facebook avoids its taxes like women avoid me. It uses shell companies, no not that one, in tax havens to avoid paying billions in corporate tax. How much they've managed to avoid, on the other hand, is absolutely insane. In the UK, corporate tax is set at 19%. In 2014, Facebook made £104 million. To be paying the legal and proper amount of tax, they need to be paying at least £19 million. The total they actually paid was £4,327. A local butcher in your hometown probably pays more than that a year. If we work it out, that equates to Facebook paying about 0.00004%, which equates to a brutal 15 points. Nice overhead smash, by the way, Zuck. Will we get a return from VW here, though? Oh, it seems we will. They're gassing monkeys. For hours at a time, Volkswagen would sit macaques inside of an airtight chamber and pump in exhaust fumes from the new Beetle. I hope in Diddy Kong Racing none of them drove a Volkswagen. Furthermore, they... Hang on, what's happening here?
Volkswagen has been caught cheating.
Sorry everyone, Volkswagen have cheated, they're disqualified.
Oh, you're joking. VW, you sneaky bastard. And that marks the end of round 3 and the end of our game. So, I think it's time to get the scores on the doors and find out who is the most evil. Mark, you made it to the end. I'm very surprised. How'd you feel?
I don't know the answer to that exactly off the top of my head either, but that's something that we can follow up with you on.
Always a pleasure chatting. Let's see how many you got, Mark. Drumroll, please. You finished with 90 points, Mark. You truly are a horrible piece of shit.
Hell yeah.
But did Volkswagen do even better by being even more devilishly and disgusting? Let's find out. Volkswagen, you gained 110 evil points, making you the complete pile of shit you are. Do you agree with those scores? Do you think one is more evil than the other? If so, let me know down below who you think deserved to win. Thank you for watching. If you would like to support me, I am still to get 1 Patreon. This is where I would show people's names, but I don't have any patrons right now. So if you want to be the first one, imagine it, your name just here, and I could read it out. I could make a poem about it. That's what I'm gonna do. Take care, boys and girls. See you next time.